Do you want a tablet? Do you plan to get one in the next couple of weeks but don't have a lot of money to spend on it? If you've answered yes to all these questions, then you should definitely check out the Asus MeMO Pad HD7, an affordable slate that sells for only $150 while offering plenty for the money. What's going on everyone, Mike here, and today I'm going to tell you why this MeMO Pad is one of the best cheap tablets available in stores these days. So without any further ado, let's get started with the review. The MeMO Pad 7 is a neat 7-inch tablet. There's nothing really fancy about it, but I did like this device from the moment I got it out of the box. It feels solid in hand and fairly grippy too, so there's really nothing I can complain about in terms of design and build quality. Except for one thing. The sides are a bit weird, as this black element doesn't integrate seamlessly with the white part on the back. As you can see here, the white part of the case is about a millimeter larger than the one on top, and this thing makes the edges somewhat sharp and uncomfortable to grab. And that does not look like a manufacturing issue on my unit, it's just the way Asus designed this case. Why? Well, that beats me. Besides that, the Asus MeMO Pad HD7 looks and feels pretty much like all the other 7-inch tablets available these days in stores. Asus does offer it in a couple of lively colors, which could differentiate it from the competition. But at the same time, the entire backplate is made from glossy plastic and it's going to scratch extremely fast. Let's have a quick look around the sides. A microSD card slot sits on the left, a micro USB port, a microphone pin and a headset jack are placed on top, and the volume rocker and power button can be found on the right side of the slate towards the back. Also on the back there's a large speaker grill and the main camera. Decent layout, although I fail to see the reason behind placing the micro USB slot on the top edge, which makes using the tablet while charging it rather unpleasant. Those aside, let's power on this tablet. You'll notice that the screen covers most of the front face, surrounded by an average sized bezel. A fairly good screen by the way, with an IPS panel and 1280 by 800 pixel resolution. That makes for a sharp display and the brightness, contrast and colors are overall quite good. In fact, considering this MeMO Pad is actually a cheap tablet, I can say I'm impressed. There is one thing missing though, a light sensor, so you'll always have to adjust the brightness manually, but I'm pretty sure you can live with that. Anyway, there are usually two important trade-offs you're making with affordable slates. They have poor screens and perform badly. The MeMO Pad HD7 Ace is a great screen for its class, and it's not that shabby when it comes to performances either. Yes, the hardware isn't impressive, but there's a quad-core processor inside this unit with PowerVR graphics and 1GB of RAM, plus 8 or 16GB of storage, expandable with up to 32GB microSD cards. Overall, the MeMO Pad is an average performer, so you can't really throw anything at it and expect it to work flawlessly. Something confirmed as well by the numbers scored in synthetic benchmarks if that's something you're interested in. In everyday use, the MeMO Pad HD7 is fairly fast, as long as you know what it can do and what it cannot. You can browse between several tabs on this one, listen to music, watch all sorts of movies including Full HD MKVs and even play games. Still, try to stick with less demanding titles, as things like GTA Vice City or Real Racing 3 won't actually run smoothly, but they won't on any other slate that sells for $150. Anyway, I'm constantly reminding you the price for this slate because it is extremely important here. I want you to understand that if you have the money, there are surely better tablets out there these days, but if you're on a tight budget, your options for something above average are quite limited. Back to our review, it's worth mentioning that this tablet runs Android 4.1.2, so not the latest version of the OS, but that shouldn't bother you much. Asus minorly tweaks the interface, rearranging the navigational buttons, which are by the way integrated within the screen and not separated. It also bundles a different notification panel, some widgets and a bunch of their own apps, like Asus Artist, Story, File Manager or the Audio Wizard. We won't get in depth here, I'll let you discover this for yourselves. One thing can be said though, you might actually use them. Bottom point, the MeMO Pad HD7 is decently snappy. Of course, it will show its limits when it comes to multitasking between many opened apps or running complex games, and there's still lag and occasional stuttering even when performing everyday tasks. But hey, this one performs actually smoother than I was expecting when I first got it out of the box. And there are several other things worth mentioning. For instance, the speakers are pretty good, pushing punchy sound. You can of course tweak the output with the Audio Wizard app, but that can lead to distortions at high volumes. I was also impressed with the wireless module that worked flawlessly even when a bit further away from my router with several walls in between. On the other hand, the MeMo Pad only offers Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, while lacking things like NFC, cellular connectivity or even USB on-the-go support, at least on this version that I got to play with. The MeMo Pad offers some cameras as well. The one on the front records rather smudgy clips, but alright for video calls. The one on the back can take 5 megapixel shots and 1080p videos, but don't expect too much, they are far from impressive. The interface, however, is fairly nice, and Asus did bundle it with plenty of options, filters and manual settings to tweak. Anyway, have a look at the pics and the clips and let me know what do you think. And then there's the battery life. A 4000 mAh battery sits inside this Asus Slate, and that's enough to push the MeMo Pad for between 5 to 8 hours of use on a charge. Adjusting the screen's brightness has a big impact on that, and of course the types of apps you're going to run. But you're still getting about 5 hours of gaming and 6 of looping a 720p video file, all on 100% brightness. And if you want to squeeze some extra juice out of this Slate, you can activate the smart saving mode and customize it from the power manager included by default. In the end, you're really getting a whole lot with this tablet for 150 bucks. That's for the 8GB version. The one with 16GB of storage will be a bit more expensive, but the MeMo Pad will have to face a handful of other affordable slates. Among them, the Nexus 7 is for sure the most cunning, although it is pricier. Still, we'll talk more about that in a future clip, where we'll pitch the two one against the other, so stay close. For now, it's time to draw some conclusions. A while ago I tested the MeMo Pad 7 and I was not impressed. In the last days, however, I got my hands on this new MeMo Pad HD 7 and there's really little I can complain about it. Yes, it's far from perfect, it suffers from some rather stupid design flaws and it gets sluggish from time to time. Even so, you can't actually find anything better for $150 right now, especially if you want a premium brand Slate. And if that's all you can spend for a brand new device, you should definitely check this one out. With that in mind, it's time to end the video. Thank you for watching and let me know what you think about this Slate in the comments below. And of course, if you liked this clip and found it useful, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and share it around, that would help me a lot. Anyway, I'll catch you later, but stay tuned. I'll have some other clips with the MeMo Pad posted on the channel in the next days, and you don't want to miss those.